We got Dudley Dawson with us right now on Lewis Automotive Hotline. Of course, you can read Dudley at hogville.net. And good afternoon to you, Dudley. How you doing? It's been a little bit of a longer day at the Smith Center than you thought you'd have, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. But enjoyed being out at practice this morning. Got a chance to just chat with Coach Pittman for a little bit as he came over while practice was going on. And then, I've loved Cam Ball since he's been here, and he and Justus Boone were the two players we talked to this afternoon, and it's going to be interesting. That defensive line, I think, maybe end up being better because of the sum of the parts. You're not going to have anybody like Landon Jackson that's going to require the attention that he required. But it's a better looking team. We'll see how they face up against other teams, especially early on.
Is there anything you've noticed from Boone? Because they've talked about him a lot. Strong, fast, coming in out of the University of Florida, and putting him in front of the cameras means, he's going to be one of the starters, I think, to begin the year.
Yeah, and he battled through an injury last year, and it seems like he's fully healthy. But he looks the part, 6'4", 270, that you want in an SEC defensive end. He's got a quick burst, and he's. It's clearly him and Cam have become real good friends. Justus Boone was actually visiting Oklahoma State when Arkansas kind of got on him. He came on down over here, and Cam was a big part in his recruiting. And they've got a lot of new names coming through there. But let's be honest, that was a part that they needed to work on. They did that in the early part of the transfer portal, and then they kind of went to the defensive backs in the second part of the transfer portal.
It sounds to me like you're looking at this position group, defensive line, the same way that a lot of us are looking at wide receiver. You lost your best player at that position. Be Landon Jackson on the line, be Armstrong at receiver, but yet because of a couple guys growing into their roles, I think maybe in terms of C.J. Brown and Monte Harrison, and then bringing in other guys out of the portal who might not have flashed where they were or trying to step up. Are you seeing a little bit of the similar thing here between receiver and defensive line?
Yeah, I think so. Charlie Collins is a guy that got in here last year, and I think he's taken a big step forward in both mindset and just the body type that you get from being here a couple of summers and getting things over. You've got several guys that as we said, they brought in during the transfer portal days that really fit the niche of what these defensive coaches want to do. And we all know that they gave up far too many big plays last year. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. There was one game where it was just touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And part of that was because they didn't have enough pressure on the quarterback. And another part was you had some defensive backs who were filling in that maybe weren't where they needed to be yet. But I think now you've got a better makeup of the team defensive-wise to what they want to do. Now, they've still got to go out and do it. But I think much like they've done with the offensive line, they have gotten people that they believe are SEC players we'll all see together.
Hey, Dudley, I 2 years ago today, Alex Collins passed away. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to kind of get a memory that you had of Alex Collins. And do you see, is Mike Washington, what you're hearing, this running back group and Mike Washington individually, you think he's a guy? Because Alex Collins rushed for over 1,000 yards. Do we get back? Do we have a 1,000-yard rusher this year?
First of all, Alex Collins, he was just a joy to cover. First started writing recruiting stories about him 2 years, I think, before he actually got here. Arkansas was involved, and obviously, that was quite a stunning day that they had with his mother and all that. But what a joy to be around. Very entertaining kid. Did a lot of different things, including the river dance, differently than But just was a great kid. Grew into a great man. Glad he got the opportunity to dip his toe in the NFL. Absolutely hate what happened there. Same with Ryan. Those were a couple of guys that really that I enjoyed covering and knew maybe more off the campus than I did a lot of others. But yeah, those were tragic situations. But back to, I tell you what, I think I said on the show last week and said, hey, yeah, I think Braylon's he's going to be the starting running back. And Mike Washington Jr. Went out from that Thursday on, including the scrimmage last Saturday, and big play after big play after big play. And all I hear now is how they think he could be the bell cow. You're still going to split those carries up, but it looks like he's going to get most of them right now, and they just love that ability. And you always wonder how these guys get lost and are at a non-SEC, non-Big 12, non-Big 10 school and then come and flash. Well, that appears to be what happened here. Coach Petrino and that offense appears to have landed them a bell cow, or at least a guy who's going to come in and be one of possibly the best running backs in the SEC.
When you now you didn't get to see the scrimmage, but when you hear and some of the things that you've seen in the 20-minute viewing sessions, are you coming around to where I might be, and I think a lot of people are at the moment, that the offense will take a step forward, but that there's going to be a lot of points scored in Arkansas football games this year, that the defense may have some trouble? And it sounds like to you, you're talking a little bit better on the defensive line than I may be expecting, so maybe you're thinking the defense may improve from last year.
Yeah, and I always go with caution about what I'm seeing, and I used to have great takes from preseason practice and training camp and all that, and then they'd go out and didn't do what I thought they'd do after going up against each other. But I just see a better-looking football team. I see some things that are matching with the scheme. But I do agree, back to your original point, I think there's not going to be 6-3 games this year. I think there's not going to be 17-14 games this year. I think we're going to have lots of points scored, lots of points given up. And to me, maybe not to the coaches, but that's entertaining, even though I came from a high school where we ran the ball and had a balanced passing attack. We threw it once to the right, once to the left, and once over the middle, in 60 plays. I do appreciate, the affinity for offense and points being scored.
Dudley, I've been asking a couple of people if, Michigan went undefeated 2 years ago. Is there a team, if you were to say, hey, man, I think this team could go undefeated, if it's Notre Dame, if it's Texas, if it's Penn State, give me one team you think has a I know it's hard to do and probably won't happen, but give me one team you think could go undefeated this year.
Well, I'm gonna cop out a little bit and take the winner of Texas and Ohio State. Now, I don't think there's going to be an undefeated team, but you have a big leg up in that first game when Texas plays at Ohio State. You're going to, have a tough conference schedule, but if you've proven yourself in that first game against a legitimate opponent, especially if you're Texas, if Arch goes up there and appears to be what everybody tells me he is, then I think you got to give Texas a lot of credit there. If Ohio State, wins that ball game and handles Texas pretty good, then I think they've rebuilt. So that game, which I am very excited about, starting off, I think that's an 11 a.m. game. That should be a fun 62nd birthday for me.
Oh, well, happy birthday. And the thing speaking of another game that's going to happen that day, I think LSU is going to beat Clemson to open the season. Clemson gets past LSU. That first, you look at their schedule. They got South Carolina at the end of the year. Who knows if South Carolina is going to be a top 25 team at the end of the year? But Clemson could be a team, I think, that also has kind of an outside shot to go undefeated if they get past LSU. But I got LSU over Clemson.
Yeah, and we've kind of pushed Clemson to the side a little bit because they've, not been as good as they have in the past. They get great quarterbacks in there, and it doesn't work out. But, they've got one right now that had a pretty good year last year. And you've got, as you said, a situation with them and LSU in that first game. If I think that game's far, far more important to Brian Kelly and LSU than it is to Clemson. It's interesting, and I know we have a lot of LSU fans that listen to this show. It's 8-4. There'd be a lot of teams that would be thrilled with that, but not down at LSU. So I think this may be a proving year here for them, even though he's done a good job. They just really like great down there.
I wonder what it'll be like at Texas if they don't quite reach where they need to reach. You know, I mean.
Well, everybody will go on the radio the following week and say, well, Texas is not back, you know, even though we thought they were after last year.
I do think they are back. I mean, roster they've put together.
They're legit. Yeah, I think they're legit. But, you know, everybody in this state, especially who grew up in this state, loves to have fun with that. So.